Okay, here we go. Well, welcome everybody. I'm your host tonight. My name is Marilyn Johnson, and I have been with this company over 13 years. And Everett Schilling is one of my dearest friends and business partner, and I am so honored that he is with us tonight. He's going to be our presenter. He used to be a contractor, and he had over 200 employees and super, super busy. And I knew him when we were kids. And when I got involved in this company, one day my kids got me on Facebook. I still really don't do Facebook. And they said, Mom, who do you remember from a long, long time ago? And Everett Schilling popped in my head. Hadn't seen him in over 30 years. And I thought, I wonder if that guy's still alive. And my kids found him and I went, that's him. And I just personal messaged him, said, if you remember me, give me a call sometime. And he did a few weeks later, found out how busy he was and how successful he was, and just caught up on life. And then he asked me, what do you do? And I, oh crap, what do I do? I was working 3 jobs, just surviving, and just got involved in this company. And he was very polite and asked him to check it out. And he had his wife check it out. And so long story short, people's lives change every 2, 3, 4 months. And a few months later, he called me up and he goes, what can you tell me about this company? And I said, well, this is what I know. This stuff is legal. I feel great. The checks clear the bank. And he goes, you haven't changed since high school. So anyway, that's our story. And I'm going to dive right into this. It's just fun. And it's a blessing when you can help other people become more than they ever dreamed of becoming. And Everett has helped me develop into a person that I didn't know for a long time. So thank you, dear. And with that, we're going to have Everett do our presentation. If you like what you see, get back with the person that invited you to this call. So Everett, take it away, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, you never know what's going on in somebody's life. And at the time, I had my fingers in a lot of different businesses, and there's a lot of people I see, even Rob's on the call too. And you don't know what's going on in somebody's life. You don't. And everything may appear, it's like that duck on the pond. Everything looks calm and everything on top, but underneath you're paddling for everything you've got. And not that our businesses were doing bad, they were doing great. I mean, we had a construction company. We built buildings, owned them, and leased them, and we developed property. And I wasn't afraid to start other businesses. But the problem with that is you end up missing one thing in life, and that's time. And that's the most important thing of anything is time. You don't get it back. I don't care what you do, how you try to figure it or whatever. That's the one thing you can't fix. And, your kids get older and you think, oh, maybe next year I'll do something with them or a year after that or whatever. And that's where we were at. I remember telling the kids many years in a row, we'll take you to Disney World next year or Disneyland, whatever we can get to. But then I got busy. We were a construction company. But the one thing I prayed for was time. And I thought by owning the business, I was going to create that. But the problem with that is you're responsible for the business, right? So you're completely responsible for all of it. So I couldn't seem to figure out how to create that 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday. And that was my challenge. I got a phone call or a text message through Facebook, a private one, like Marilyn said, from her in 2010. And it said, hey, if you remember me, give me a call. Now, remember, I hadn't seen her or talked to her in 31 years. And I dated ourselves for our age, but it is what it is, And I says, well, I thought, I bet she wants me to buy something. I mean, that's the only reason she'd be messaging me on Facebook to give her a call. So I searched her Facebook page. I didn't find any products or anything on it, of some company she was working for. If it was Girl Scouts of America and she was selling cookies, I didn't see none of it. So I finally gave her a call and said, hey, what's up? And it led to just what she said. Hey, can you take a look at something important to me? And I said, yeah, I don't need anything else in my life right now. As we're starting a trucking company, a pipeline company in North Dakota. It's just one thing after another. So I took it home. Like I said, I took it home, gave it to my wife. I was taking a look at this video. A girl I went to high school with, some years ago, wants me to look at this. I don't have time for it. You take a look at it. And the funny thing is those of you that have seen the ABC prime time on Pro Tandem, I'd seen the original and went to GNC to buy it in 2005. And the girl at GNC talked me out of it and talked my wife and I both out of it to the point where we were mad and we just walked out the door. We didn't buy nothing. So 5 years later, it was thrown back on my plate. And I told Gay, I said, you call her tomorrow, tell her we want that stuff. Everybody in the world should be on it. The three most important things and most prayed for things in life are number one is time, number two is health, and three is financial freedom. And, just not necessarily be wealthy or rich, it's just to take money off the table. I don't want to be worried about it. I don't want to even think about it. I don't want any debt whatsoever. Those are the three main things that people look at. And so I really wasn't, I just wanted the health part of it. That's what I was really interested in, was the health. So we got on the product, and one thing after another happened at work. And here's the funny thing about work. I haven't worked for a wage in probably, man, I want to say 30 plus years. And I haven't worked for a wage in so long, it's been unreal. But we've created something, and I've never understood why somebody goes to work somewhere and puts a worth on their hour. But it's life. It's what we do. It's what we were taught in college. It's what we were taught in high school. It's what we were taught by our parents, right? And go get a job, work there for the next 40 years or 50 years or 60 years, whatever it may be, and then retire well. But my idea was it was more, I would rather work for 20 or 30 years super hard and then take the next rest of your life off and enjoy life and then take money off the table. So that's why I've always had that entrepreneur thought process is to build those companies and build something big enough. But the problem with it is I was still losing time. I mean, finances were fine, but it was just time was the biggest thing. And after a while, you figure out that that's probably one of the most important things. So I have never looked at a business like this ever. Never done one, never looked at one, didn't like the way I was approached by anybody. In fact, I was approached several times, and I remember telling a few of them, if I got to do what you do, I don't want nothing to do with it, because it was always canned. It was so phony, and it was just weird. And I said, that's not you, man. I don't want nothing to do with it. So I'm out. I don't like it. But I did look into one, not from somebody. I just, kind of researched one time, and I thought, you know what, that's a great idea. I understand what they do. And do you guys know that Avon's been out since 1886? That's how long this industry's been around. There's three different ways that products are moved in our society. The one we're used to is through the grocery store, right? So retail. It's thrown out on a shelf. You go in, you pick it up, and you leave. There's a whole bunch of people in between that get paid on that. Then the next way is somebody that buys it direct, and then they go from door to door to sell it to you. In our day, it was encyclopedias, it was Bibles, it was Kirby vacuums, it was, all that type of stuff where they'd buy direct. Here's the problem with those things. Those type of things like that is if you get sick, what happens to your paycheck? And you don't get one. So you have to hustle all the time. You're always hustling. The third way is some genius way back in the 1800s figured out, wait a second, instead of paying a whole bunch of ad agencies to do something, what's the fastest way to grow a business or get the word out? It's always been word of mouth, always. So let's take this and let's give it to somebody. Let's let them go on, prove their worth. And if they're really good hustlers, the sky's the limit when it comes to income, absolute limit. And if you're really good at pouring into other people and helping them succeed, then sky is absolutely the limit at that point. And it took off and went huge. Do you guys know there's more than 4,000 of these companies just in the United States alone? And they're doing hundreds of millions a year. I mean, literally just hundreds of millions. That's how big of a deal they are. Amway at one point was doing $14 billion a year. That's how big they are. 14 billion. And they don't have any products I've ever seen that I thought was, wow, that is off the chart. It was just another Kmart or Walmart type thing, They did have some good stuff, though. I mean, I give them that. But here's the thing is let me share my screen with you guys. Let me rifle through this real quick and I'll give you, just kind of a general overview of the whole thing. Then you can make a decision on the end of it, which one of the three prayers is yours. If it's time, if it's just getting money out of the way. And here's the thing too that's funny about that deal is I've never ever looked at money as one of those deals. Whoops, let me get out. I forgot to share the screen, Marilyn. I'm in it. You guys can't see it. So I can just do my own little thing here, huh? Um, so share screen. That's always a good thing. Right there. And share. Now you can see it. That's right. I've got a cold, man, and I've been struggling for about 2 weeks now. So let's start from here. I'm what they call a EC2 or EC whatever it is now. It used to be what they call a Pro 8. And that's somebody that does between 200 and 500,000 a year in volume and gross sales through their company. And for a business that you don't have to have any brick and mortar, I'm not having to go out and buy a fleet of pickups to put out in the crews or anything like that. And I'm not doing payroll. That's a substantial amount of money, and that's a big deal. The nice thing about that is every time somebody consumes something, you get paid. So it's no different from a construction company. Every time somebody rented one of our buildings and rented on a monthly basis, every month came by, we got a check. And it just worked out perfect that way. I like that. I have always liked residual income or mailbox money. I've called it mailbox money forever. Regardless where you are, there's always a check in the mailbox. And that was our goal from way back, is to be able to do something like that. Let me get rid of this bar here. So this all started from actually one product that came out. And what I want to visit with you guys about tonight is basically about LifeVantage, our breakthroughs into health that rocked the world in a different direction in Eastern medicine and through activation instead of supplementation. And why you'll love this program, how to get positioned in it, and what 6 key components of business makes it so successful. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So what you guys can do is, I just rifled past that ABC Primetime. If you have not seen it, watch it. This is the first network marketing company ever, or MLM, that was sold in the retail world and had ABC News show up to try to prove it wrong, and it went completely the other direction. You are allowed to use, as an independent business owner, you're allowed to use that to your benefit. And you can go out and show that to people. And what I love about that part is I don't have to be the expert, guys. I don't have to be the dude that, did tons of research and, went through and had to memorize every single thing. I was putting in 80 to 100 hours a week in a construction company. There was times that I slept on the floor because there wasn't enough time just to go home and take a nap and then turn around and come back. And, there were some awful good size, some pretty good sized buildings we built, and there are time limits on those and, time constraints that they have to be in at a certain time. And they take that stuff pretty serious. I don't care if it's Cummins, Caterpillar, Halliburton, Schlumberger, whoever it may be. And they do have time limits for them to get in. So, I didn't have time to study this stuff. All I needed to know is that it was real, that it was upfront, and everything was transparent. So how do you figure that part out? How do you get into it, look at it? And the one thing that they kept talking about on that news clip was that a product was being proven by a university in Colorado that it reduced oxidative stress, so basically our aging process, by 40% in 30 days in every mammal they had ever tested it on. Okay? For somebody to say something like that, that's a big deal. Now, and then have it proved. So John Kionis, that's this guy right here in ABC News, did a blood test on national TV and showed a 45% reduction in less than 2 weeks. And that caught the attention of major medical universities from all over. And they started calling and saying, hey, we want what you have. Send it to us. Because it has something to do with about every function in the human body. from your heart, your skin, your kidneys, your joints, your lungs, your brain, immune system, blood vessels, all your organs, and it just goes on and on. So there was a peer-reviewed journal. Let me bounce forward to that. So how we can prove that ourselves is jump onto something called PubMed.gov. If you look right here, this is PubMed.gov. We pay for that. You pay for that with your taxpaying dollars. All right. So you might as well use it. So anytime you want to jump in, say you want to look at, I don't know, so you just want to pick some illness or condition and you just want to go read some reviews on it, that's where you find it, guys. And you could jump in, pull up oxidative stress / whatever condition. I don't care if it's migraines to warts to lupus to whatever. And if it's associated, there'll be to oxidative stress, there'll be a whole bunch of studies on it. And because of that, there was one that caught my attention back in 2010, and that was one by VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, is Associated American Heart Association. Okay, they are partners in crime. VCU does studies for American Heart Association, and they had wrote a peer-reviewed journal on the human heart and what Protandim did for that. And that was enough for me right there to say, I'm in. I want that product in my system for the rest of my life. I won't ever get off of it. I don't care what happens. That's the one thing I will hold on to for the rest of my life. And my wife included, my kids, my mom, we kind of purchased it all for all of them. So not only them, Harvard jumped in the middle of it. Every single peer review from every medical university, and there's 28 of them, came out positive. And that's rare when it comes to a nutraceutical, something that. So for that to happen and then get peer reviewed is very unusual, something like that. But it didn't stop there. They came out with 2 other anti-aging products also based off of the same theory. And those others, the first one is Protandim, and it's based off the NRF2 aging process, okay? The NRF2 aging theory. The next one is mitochondrial theory, which is NRF1, and the next one is serotonin theory, which is based off of NAD. These are the 3 aging theories of the human body. And we've got a product that's all natural for all 3 of them. And they do incredible things, and they've got peer reviews behind it. So it didn't stop with just Protandim. Now, because of that, it led into many other products because it isn't just that one area. I mean, our skin has a lot to do with our whole outlook on life and how people look at us and our age and everything. Now, those of us that work outside, we look a little more weathered than the ones that got a chance to look inside. And they tell my wife all the time, why do you look so much younger than your husband? Well, no kidding. She worked inside forever, man. The rest of us worked outside in the sun and the cold and everything else. They took that Protandim and they worked it into a skin product. And it's something that you can apply externally. And that stuff, and I'm a typical male. I am not much for any kind of hand creams or lotions or anything like that. I can't stand the feeling. I know you ladies are going, really? I can't stand the feeling of dry skin, but I just don't like lotion. And this stuff I did. In fact, I just put some on my hands here a little while ago because they're cracked and stuff. And what this does to them is unreal. Not only that, but we started figuring out that they kept saying all mammals that they tested it on. We said, well, heck, why don't we try it on our dogs? Why don't we try it on our horses? And what it did for them is unreal. Do you guys have a pet that you love and you really want them to be around and be the best version of their age? You want to get them on Pet Tandem. If you care for that animal, that is the one thing you do for them, including your horse, is get them on the product. Protandim for the horse and then Pet Tandem for your dog. Now, I know people that they use it on their cats too and stuff, and I always got to call until they get it, get them to eat it. There's many other products from personal care, daily essentials, of course, our anti-aging, skin care, hair care. My wife loves the hair care system on it, from gut health to energy. Now, one of the things they wanted to do was come out with something that worked on focus, not packed with sugar or caffeine or anything like that had you shaking so bad that You felt like you had to tie yourself down just to keep from bouncing across the room. So here's the thing about that is what if you could drink something that actually helped you focus on a daily basis? That actually was incredible stuff. I mean, I go through probably 1, 2 to 3 of my day. Now, products, Nerve 2 Protandim was proven to reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days in every mammal's tested on, up to 70% older mammals. 2005, ABC Primetime actually aired on it to try to prove it wrong, went the other direction. You're allowed to use that, remember. It's a unique, consumable, and category creating. What I mean by category creating, it's an activator. It is not a supplement. Some people get it confused as a supplement, and it's not. This is something that goes into your system and flips a switch to allow your body to do something it did when it was younger. Wouldn't you rather have that than try to supplement something that's no longer there, that just isn't working? We all try multivitamins and so many different things, vitamin D, on and on and on, to try to supplement what we're lacking. Most of the time, it's within our diets. And face it, with these day and age and the way things are going now, our diets are horrendous, and we try our best. We got an inside-outside approach to anti-aging, wellness, and the cellular level. Products are rooted in science. I showed that to you and how you can research that yourself. And we have multiple patents, international and national, to protect those. Okay. It's in the synergy and the way they're put together, not necessarily, the product. You can't, take herbs and roots and everything else and say they're ours, they're mine. You can't do it that way, but you can do the way they're put together. And then, of course, your place of research is www.pubmed.gov. Now, we just talked about products. One other product I'd like to visit about is another major breakthrough, and that's the whole collagen system. Collagen has been one of the biggest breakthroughs, and it's going to be one of the largest money makers over the next 5 to 6 years that we have seen in a long time when it comes to health. And why collagen is such a big deal is because look at all the things here that it affects in the human body. I can personally tell you guys, looking at every one of these, what it's done for my joints is unreal. And for a while there, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to give up snowmobile, and I'm going to have to give up kind of swinging a hammer, and things like that I really enjoy doing, because my joints just hurt so bad all the time. And by taking Protandim and collagen together, it made a tremendous difference in my system. From fingernails to hair growth, muscle recovery, I noticed that when I go in and lift, the difference there, it wasn't painful, and it honestly felt really good to just all of it. You guys, bone strength, everything all the way through here. And what it does for all of it is amazing. That's how big of a deal collagen is. So introducing our newest breakthrough in activation is our new True Science liquid collagen, and it's superior and unique. We take an arm approach to that, which means we wanted a product, LifeVantage wanted a product that came out that actually activates in your system and keeps activating over and over. You're not just taking a one and done thing and then passing it through your system when you go use the restroom. They also wanted something that replenished itself over and over also, and then maintain it and keep maintaining it on a daily basis. So the way they do that is the activation part comes from an incredible product called ruby red quinoa extract. And this plant, just look at this, it activates SOD gene in the human body by 2,700%. What it does in the body is amazing. I mean, flat out amazing. Just it by itself. That's what is used to activate collagen in your system. Now, you can look at these test results, the difference in collagen density just in an 8-week period, on the difference between that first photo to the last one and how much collagen density had changed in that 8 weeks. Now, the way we replenish it is through fish and clean fish. So they take wild fish and they incorporate it into it. You just don't quite just throw it in there and say, hey, eat all these. So the amino acids from them support collagen density, skin elasticity, and moisture, and a youthful appearance. That's what the big deal is behind the fish. That's what keeps replenishing that collagen in your system. Now, to maintain it comes from a berry. And that berry is a big deal. Citrus berry extracts from blueberry powder, pumpkin fruit, acerola berry, it goes on and on. And that's what is able to maintain it on a daily basis. So collagen, I can't, between that and Protandim, I would not, I don't miss it. First thing I do when I get up in the morning, I come downstairs, open the refrigerator, and I pull out a collagen. I already took the Protandim at the sink in the morning when I brush my teeth. So, I make sure those are my system every single morning and have for quite some time now. There's no sugar added in them, no artificial sweeteners, no GMOs. They're dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free. So they try to keep them as natural as they possibly can. So why a liquid and not a powder? Main reason behind that, guys, is most powders we pass through our system. They're too hard to digest. So our system just gets rid of it. Now a liquid, it is absorbed quickly into our system, and biggest share of it isn't wasted. So the biggest share of that is absorbed. So that's why a liquid is such a big deal. So documentation beats conversation every time. If you look at these ladies, and we know these people, excuse me, if you look at their different pictures here, there's one I kind of want to bounce through these. Just look at their necks. There's one on these ladies' legs that is just unreal. Look at this. So can you imagine how she feels now to go from what her skin looked like, that crepey look and stuff there, and then all of a sudden have this going on? And I'm not sure how long that took for her to get there, but it wasn't, I promise this, it wasn't a year, it wasn't, months and months and months and months for that to happen. I would imagine 90 days. But, don't take my word for it. It's still one of them things. If you can imagine, let's go to this next slide. If she can see that, and that does that on the outside, could you imagine what it does on the inside to the human body? So, it's like this. If people are already seeing these results on the outside, can you imagine what's happening on the inside? What it's doing to the inside of the human body? That's how big of a deal this stuff is. So right now, just in the anti-aging world, let's talk about trends. Just in the anti-aging world, that's a $300 billion a year market. In the skincare, that's $121 billion, hair care, $85 billion, pet care, $67 billion what we spend per year on our pets. $50 billion on energy drinks, and biggest share of those energy drinks on the market are something you shouldn't be drinking. 37 billion in weight management. We know that's a New Year's resolution almost every year for the biggest share of us. You know what? This year I'm going to lose some weight and I'm going to get down and fit. Usually those last about 30 days and it's over. Sometimes not even that. But life gets in the way. So right now we're in 24 countries. We have under 100,000 of us active as distributors globally, worldwide. So that means you're in front of something timing-wise incredible. We're not in every country in the world like Amway or, some of them other big companies like that, Mary Kay, Avon, on and on. So timing is a huge deal. And usually from this point when a company starts, right down here at the very beginning, it's a rocky road. It's a pretty scary deal. You can ask any person to start a business, Rob, many of us, I see Daniel's on the call too, this plumbing business. When you first start a business, you guys know that more than 95% of businesses close down the first couple of years. And it's just many issues come up, man. It's just, maybe poor money management, on and on and on. And just so many different things that could close it down. Once you get past that, things begin to happen. If you can get past that point, sometimes they'll fail 3, 4, 5 times before you can get them off the ground and running. We have gone past that point. We're sitting way up in here right now before you get to critical mass. What they mean by this, you can research this to Netflix, to Apple, Microsoft, to even Elon Musk's company. I mean, on and on. And everybody goes through the same thing. From this point to here, what they call momentum is what they call critical mass. And that's where 80% of all growth happens. And that's where it's branded to the world. That's where companies become multi-billion-dollar companies. And right now we sit just before that. It usually takes about 150,000 of us doing this as a business to launch it into that. And we are before that, so that gives you an excellent timing opportunity to get into it. So if you're worried about, oh my gosh, is it one of those, everybody in the world knows about it. Can you still make money if you jumped into Amway or even let's do Avon? I mean, means we've been talking about it. I'm sure you could if you're a hustler and you want to get out. But here's the thing. If you stood in front of Walmart and you asked every person walking into Walmart if they ever heard of Avon, what do you think they'd say? Yeah, I've heard of them. And that's a tough struggle at that point to be able to talk to somebody that has said, "Oh yeah, I've heard about that, been there, done that. I've had many friends done that, and they failed." And what I get a chuckle out of on that comment, I've always thought that was the silliest comment in the world, because you know how many companies that we bought that were defunct in the construction world? Does that mean that everybody's tried a construction company and they're a failure and they're not a money maker and that kind of stuff, and then you're doomed to fail? No. There's just a lot of things that go wrong when somebody doesn't. Usually in these businesses, when I heard somebody's failed in it, it's because one, they didn't ask for somebody's help and they weren't offered any help. That's the problem. So if you get into something and nobody's talking to you whatsoever, you should be asking around who your upline is and who they are so you can get some help from it so they can teach you. Even I was arrogant enough when I first got into this thing that I told Marilyn and Tony and Clint and all of them that I didn't need none of this. I'd be able to do it myself. Within months, I figured out that I'm probably going to have to call and swallow a little amount of pride and say, all right, I want what you guys have, explain to me what I got to do and I'll do it. Because if one person can do it, that means anybody can do it. That's a fact. I don't care if it's construction or whatever, as long as you apply yourself. That's the one failure there that people I can't fix and I can't help, is the ones that won't apply themselves and they won't do anything about it. When somebody quits on themselves, I can't do a single thing about that. So we are a publicly traded company. LifeVantage has got a bunch of investors that have dumped much money into it, and they're some of the biggest investors in the world, guys. You could get on to NASDAQ. You can look up LFBN as the ticker symbol. You can research any part of this and find out if I'm telling the truth or not. What's nice about that is that means you don't have to study like crazy to memorize everything. You can just point somebody to the facts, let them do the studying, and if they like what they see, great. If they don't worry about it. Move on. What's made every 7 seconds of the day? People. So I wouldn't worry about the ones that say no. So trends, like I said, my biggest thing on the trends is this on the right side moving to the direction? Yes. It's on the Eastern medical part. And what I mean by that is you guys know that America is the last one that's hanging on to Western medicine. It's because of how much TV we put out there, how many advertisements we put out there, and all them big pharma companies that are paying monster dollars to advertise to get into your head to tell you the only way you can be healthy is to take a pharmaceutical that's a synthetic. If you can't pronounce it, your body doesn't know how to process it. That's just the way it is. So, and we all know that. I mean, if we get in something, we got to take something else. We go to take a prescription, you got to take something else to offset that. It goes on, and some people end up sicker than what they started to be. So it's our job to make sure we're taking the right stuff. Now, compensation. How do we get paid? So for a perfect business, you really need 6 things to be at a perfect business. 4 things is a great business. 6 things is exceptional. So let's look at the compensation part. Like I said earlier, mailbox money is the best way to go. And reason for that is if you get sick or something happens, you've already dug the well. And by that happening is if you're sick and you're still getting the same income as you always have, and you're not worried about, oh my gosh, I got 6 weeks, I've got maybe 6 months of savings or whatever, maybe 1 year or 2 years savings, I'm done. I've got to figure out something and I can't get back to work. What am I going to do? And it's always been the leverage side. All right. And that's not the side they taught us in college or high school at all. They always taught us, a career, get into it, work that 40, 50, 60 years, trade your time for money, and then retire well, which was usually 50% of what we were struggling to live on before. And then I thought, man, that's not right. It's like I was saying earlier, man, I haven't had a wage in 30 plus years, maybe even 35 years. And it was always based off of a business that we built or a building we built and then leased out or rented out. Now, the leverage side are usually 2 to 5 year assets. And the reason for that is we'll build a business up and be very large, lucrative, and successful. And then it makes it very appetizing to investors to grab a hold of something that's already gone. It's a retirement asset. It's a generational wealth that we hand on to our generations below us, to our kids and their kids, and eventually, hopefully, become a big business investor behind that. And how do you think all these other businesses started? You just don't walk in the bank and say, I have an idea. Can you give me a couple $1,000,000? They'll laugh you right out of the bank. And trust me, I've tried that before. And you got to have some kind of asset to give them, something that they know they can make more money on than what they're trying to offer you or what they're trying to loan you. So it'd be nice to have that money in there where you can help some other people and invest in some great things. So let's take a look at that whole system. Now, the first part of it basically is you go out, it's a real simple deal, and it's no different than my construction company. Is when we started, I went out and shared with people that I was a contractor. I'd like to build a building for you. I spent a lot of time on the phone, trust me, and calling people and saying, hey, have you ever thought about a new building? Would you rather write off 100% of it, or would you like to depreciate it out? And a lot of them big corporate companies would rather depreciate them out on or write them off on a yearly basis. So that started growing. So began to share it like crazy. No different in this one. Go out and visit with some people. Hey, how would you like to spend more time with your family? How would you like to be able to make more on a monthly basis than when you make right now? Or would you just like to earn an extra $1,000 a month? I don't know how you guys want to approach people. That's you. So you know your friends. You know how you should approach them. You know their trigger points. You know what they're looking for. That's how you approach them. Then the second part of it is you helping them. It's where you build and grow. You jump in the middle of helping them and you help them become successful. That's why this is one of the greatest businesses I've ever come around. Then the last part of it is you become a mentor. You spend all your time helping those people in them first two levels learn how to become teachers and how they can go out and teach other people to do the same thing. Now, there's a couple of lucrative paths that we can do this where I'm going to jump forward. Now, the way we sign up right off the bat is some people say, hey, listen, I just want to take the product and that's it. I don't want to do anything else. Yeah, that's fine. Here's the thing, though. You're going to pay 20% more for the product than the person that's in the business. Okay. If you want to save at least 10% on the product, then become a subscription. I have never, ever had a problem with somebody saying, hey, listen, I want to stop my subscription on a monthly basis where it comes in on the 15th of the month or the 20th or whatever every single month. I want to stop it. This company knows that eventually you're probably going to be back. That's how big of a deal the product is. So they're not going to argue with you. They're not going to give you discounts. They're not going to give you extra product or anything else. They're just say, fine, we'll cancel you. We'll see you later. And I would rather save 10% than nothing. So at the very least, get on subscription. In the business, save 20% on your product every single month. Okay. Now, the next part that you make money, now you're making 10%. Let's back up on that. Let's say you're in the business. Every time somebody takes this subscription order, they order a product on a monthly basis, which is 10% more than you pay, you get the difference that day. All right. So they order something and it's 10% higher than what you pay for it. That difference goes to you because you're the one that enrolled them. All right. Next, you get to the point where you've got between $500 and $1,000 worth of product going out on a monthly basis through customers. You get an additional 5%. You can see the math here all the way down to this person. It goes between 4,000 up in product. You get another 20% on top of that 10. Okay. So now you're getting 20% of all of your product users through your business on a monthly basis. Let's go to this next part. Here's more percentages. Guys, there's so many different ways we get paid. Now, let's say this goes on a level. Your first level, this is where the MLM, the multi-level marketing comes in. Percentages on when people consume a product on a monthly basis, then percentages are paid out, all right? And it happens in everything, from the stuff going through Walmart, Kmart. Well, I don't want to say Kmart, they've closed down for the most part. But anyway, all these other companies out there, there are so many middle people that have their hands out in it. They get paid on a monthly basis. It's unreal. You are now the person in this one. Okay. So say you're consultant one, and let's go up to one that's we can see what the amount is. They're doing a consultant three is somebody doing $1,000 a month in gross sales through your whole business. Okay, everybody in it. Everybody in your first line, you get another 9% of what they're doing on a monthly basis and 3%. So we were talking about $4,000, right? Anything above 4,000. So let's say you got 6,000 going out on a monthly basis, okay? And then you get 10% on the first level of everything consumed, 7%, 5%, 3% of everything consumed on that on a monthly basis. Makes your wheels turn a little bit, doesn't it? Now, doesn't end there. Now let's look at this one on a match. So what happens is on the leaders in your organization that are building, they want you to go out and help them, and this is why. So let's say in your first generation of leadership in your group, and let's say you're that person that's going to go out and help them, you get 7% of what they're doing on a monthly basis on their paycheck through this pay scale. Okay. So let's say you get all the way up to an executive consultant one is somebody does $80,000 a month gross sales to the organization. Every partner they have in this in the business that's working the business, you get 15% on their paycheck on a monthly basis, then 12%, and then 10%. You see how this goes all the way up. So this presidential is somebody doing $1 million a month through their whole group. And look how many levels they're getting paid on every one of their business partners on a monthly basis. The company's saying, go help them. It's lucrative. Go help them become successful. And then all of a sudden you're getting 20, 20, 20, 20, 15, 12, and 12 on the seventh level. All right. Doesn't end there, guys. So profits, it's like a profit sharing, but it's not. And it's through a leadership pool. So they take 4% of gross sales every single month, throw it into a pot. All right, this is what brought me into the business. When I seen this part of it, I'm going, whoa, wait a second here. So gross 7 or an EC1 is somebody does 80,000 a month gross sale volume. That's what GFT means, gross sale volume, through their organization on a monthly basis. They take 4%, they throw it in a pot, and they make all these shares, and then you'll get one share of that on a monthly basis. All the way up to that, and you see the amounts they're doing gross wise to this 1 million for the presidential consultant, they're getting 20 shares. That's a big deal. Could you imagine when this company hits $1 billion and they're taking 4%, when they're doing $1 billion a year, and you divide that by 12 months, and then you take 4% of that and you throw it into a pot every single month, and then you're getting 20 shares of that. Yeah, sign me up. I'm in. Now, guys, that's just a few that I want to show you. There's other ways, but those are the main ones that should catch your attention. If those don't catch your attention, then I don't know what to say after that. So getting started, that's up to you. I would talk to the person that brought you to this and find out what fits you. It's always made sense to me to get the package that has every product that this company has so you can experience those. That way, when somebody says, hey, what do you think of the Axio? What do you think of the hair care system? You have a legitimate answer. If you pick a smaller package, which you can, that's up to you, and you pick a smaller package and say it's just the Pro Tandem and the liquid collagen, that's up to you. But then, you're going to have to approach it different when somebody says, hey, what do you think of the hair care system or Axio, the energy drink, the focus brand? So, guys, that's going to be complete up to you. Now, I want to bounce forward here. These are just mock-ups of how you could get paid. I mean, just you and two, basically you go find a couple consultant business partner that you want to start your company with and launch into a multi-million-dollar company. And then as you guys start, when you start, they got 800 a month going through that first one, 1120 on the second one. You're now looking at 37,000 a year in an income, guys. And that's starting to replace house payments and vehicle payments and things like that. Or maybe you just want to shove it into your retirement fund. I don't know, but just to help out that whole financial side. Now, how many people do you think out there are looking for a better way? A lot. Okay. So, one of the last things I want to talk to you about is as a system. This is the part you should probably write down. If you're serious about this or you're thinking about this, the way to be successful in this business is there's basically three things. There's about five things. These three things are the main part of it. You need to do at least 15 presentations a month to be successful. Okay. If you don't, it's going to be a real slow boat. These businesses love speed and volume. In other words, go out and recruit 5 as fast as you can and find out who wants to work. And then attach yourself to them and go to work. And every training on a monthly basis, there's so many going on, guys, it's unreal. There's no excuse that, hey, there's nothing going on whatsoever. They're going on constantly on a weekly basis. Now, corporate trainings are twice a year. We have a training in St. George, Utah that's 4 times a year. And the last part of this that I'm going to say is give it 2 to 5 years. There's no such thing as in business, guys. That is, I'll try it. Nobody's ever started a business that, I'll just kind of put my toe in and see how it is. If it doesn't make any money right off, I quit. And no business based that way. So give it a 2 to 5 year. I would say 5, but to be fair, give it 2 years. You can block out 2 years, I promise, man, and figure it out. Because if you could replace your income or double it or triple it or whatever it may be, and have some coming in and you've dug the well on a monthly basis because you're developing leadership, I would sure give it a 2-year commitment. All right. So, yeah, I would never depend on a single income. Time and effort is great in second source into a create and a second source. I don't like having my eggs in one basket. Never did. We had so many LLCs. I remember we started a company. We had about 60 of them. And my goal was to fill all 60. And I was doing a pretty good job of it until I started getting fried. So the thing of it is make sure you've got something else going. And that way, if something happens on the first one, or maybe you just want to replace it, I don't know. And that's up to you guys. So I want to thank you for jumping on tonight. If you've got questions, I would sure talk to the person that invited you to this and ask a bunch and get started. And I wouldn't worry about studying. I would do the first thing. What made me successful, or what made the success in this business, was when I recruited somebody or I went with somebody and we recruited somebody into the business, the first sentence out of my mouth was, call somebody that would take a look at it right now. And over and over and over. And that way you're teaching and training and mentoring right off the bat. It doesn't stop, guys. It's just, that's the whole idea of this business, and becoming successful with it. And so with that being said, I'll turn this back over to Marilyn. I see we've got one more lead on here. And if you want to let Rob say a couple things, that'd be great.
Sure. I'd love it. Rob Smollack. He's a Pro 8 in the company. That's the old title. I'm learning all these new titles, but a go-getter. And yeah, what do you want to take a moment? Take a moment, Rob?
Marilyn, God, Everett, awesome, my friend. I loved your presentations, dude. I just jumped on because I learned so much from you. God, guys, you can hear my little 5-year-old sitting there. Isn't that cool? I'm going to be 58 years old and I got a 5-year-old. Question my sanity there a little bit. But I've never been away from my daughter, not one day, not even for 1 minute. And I never had that in my previous life. I had 3 sons. One of my sons literally died in my arms. I was holding him when he took his last breath. And I hated people 7 years ago. I didn't like people. I didn't want to be around people 7 years ago. And I had a doctor approach me with this. And it's like, why not? I had 11 companies. I had 400 some employees. I wanted to kill every one of them every day. And I had a TV show. So I was up to my butt in employees and just being busy. I was making all this money and I was totally miserable. I had no time. I related so much to Everett when I got into this, you guys, because I saw him. He had the kind of life that I had. And I remember asking Everett one time, why are you doing this? And he said, well, my blood pressure was through the roof, blah, blah, blah. Me and my wife are pretty much like roommates because I'm gone all the time. My sons are doing this. And I thought, man, that was me. Everett saved his marriage. Like him and Gary still married. They're an amazing couple. And I didn't save mine. Mine was done after 19 years because I let it go too far. I didn't know how to change it. Then I got involved in this company, you guys, a little less than 7 years ago, and people said, Rob, let me help you. That was my hardest part, to actually accept help from somebody, because nobody ever helped me do anything in life. I literally failed myself to financial freedom, and I fail every day at something, but I don't look at it as failure anymore. I look at it as I'm winning or learning, right? Winning or learning. And it's been people like Everett and Marilyn, you guys, that me and my wife got involved. We watched them. We thought, okay, what if they're doing it? Let's just do what they did. I think that's the easiest thing, right, guys? Geez, there's so many successful people. Me and Summer just got around the successful people that we liked, and so let's just copy them. Let's just copy them, and we've got such an incredible life right now. And God, guys, everybody, I hear people say this sometimes that, well, it's not for everybody. Explain that to me, because I don't understand that part. I don't know anybody that wouldn't like to make more money. I know many, many multimillionaires, billionaires that still would like to make a few more dollars. I don't know anybody that wouldn't want to be healthier. Nobody. And I certainly don't know anybody that wouldn't want time freedom. Everett just shared with you all 3 ways that you can get those. See, if you tell me this is not for you, there's 2 things you're telling me. One, fear and doubt. I get fear and doubt. I really do, guys. I get fear and doubt. It's something new. I get that. The other one is you worry about what people think about you. Those are the only things. That's the legitimate excuses that I get. And to me, they're not legitimate. They're just excuses to keep people where they're at. And so if you want to stay where you're at, but you got dreams and goals that you would like to have more out of life, and if you're not willing to put that action out, you're going to stay where you're at. So you will find a way, or you'll find an excuse. Marilyn, Everett, myself, and my wife, we just found a way. And none of us knew what the hell we were doing. Marilyn had a little bit of experience because she'd been doing it before, part of the NFL club, no friends left club. And so, never, because people in this industry annoyed me. They were coming, I was getting approached all the time, especially when I was in medicine. And I was like, God, this isn't for me. They were not professional. They were trying to sell me stuff, and I hated being sold to. And when the doctor shared this information with me, guys, I said, Doc, I'll stop you right there. If I have to have Tupperware parties, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to do that. But if I just have to share information and educate people on health, wealth, and time freedom, I can share. And if they want to do it, great. If they don't, I don't care. Like, I'm not here to convince you. Everett's not here to convince you. Marilyn's not here to convince you. If we have to convince you to go out and change your life and be partners with us in a company that's publicly traded, debt-free, backed by the 2 largest investors in the world, the 2 largest banking institutions in the country, with about 20 million sitting in cash reserve, bringing the closing bell of the stock market January 9th of 2020, because our stock at 273%. And if you would have bought $100,000 in shares of this company about a week and a half ago, you would have made about $40,000 as of Friday. Is that a good deal or not? To me, it's a no-brainer when it comes to business. And so that's why we said yes. It's fun, guys. I've never even had fun making money before. I can tell you, me and Everett have probably been through so much stress in business, like the construction companies that I had a really large construction company. Everett had a larger construction company than me. And OSHA, OSHA was a 4-letter word to me and my company. And in Montana, you didn't see a lot of OSHA around, but it seemed like when they showed up, it was on my biggest, most expensive jobs. I got fines. I know Everett got fines before, and it wasn't my fault. It was my damn employee's fault, but I couldn't be everywhere at once. And so I had to pay those fines. So take a serious look at this, guys. We got some amazing people on here that are willing to help you. Just grab onto them and don't let go. Just grab on and don't let go. So thank you, Marilyn, Everett. Again, thanks, guys. Thanks for your time, and love you guys. You guys take care and have an amazing day. Be safe.
Thanks, Rob. You can see why these guys are where they are. They're leaders. And, like he says, you can find a way or you can find an excuse. But either way, you're going to have a result. So thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to have this call next Thursday. I would encourage everybody, if you could just get one new person a week. 1 or 2 people, 3 people can change your whole world. Everett was that man that changed my life. And it's been such a blessing. And it's so amazing when you can become friends with people and they become your family. So thank you, everybody. And we will have this on my YouTube channel. It's just Marilyn Johnson Life Vantage. And I'm trying to get more leaders on there. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do a presentation, just click on that and share it. It doesn't cost anything. So thank you for joining again, and we will see you all on this channel next week. Thank you, Everett. Bye-bye.